Hi, Wednesday morning, little crochet Christmas idea. We've got this little reindeer here that you're going to be doing. It's like a little bag. Now you can use it as a normal little bag and maybe hang it on the tree, and you could fill it with perhaps, I don't know, chocolate truffles or small chocolate coins. But how I actually made this, I wanted it to fit one of these large chocolate coins. So it's a case of just sliding it in and you have a large chocolate coin holder. So you could make it smaller for smaller coins. You could just put loads of smaller coins in it. So it's a little reindeer bag. It is really quick and easy to make. A couple of details. I have used felt for the antlers, buttons for the eyes, and a red pom-pom for the nose. But you could do different variants. You could use felt here if you wanted. You could crochet a nose. But apart from that, I have used other products, and again these are all stitched. I've stitched all the way around it, but you can glue if that is your preference. So I'm going to put that to one side, and that we're using a double knit yarn. We're using a 3.5mm crochet hook. We have our felt antlers, which I'll show you how to work with that in a little while. We have various cottons. We have our little pom-pom and our stitch marker. So I'm just going to get going and I'll explain the rest of this as we go along. So I'm going to move those all to one side. Don't need any of those. What I do need is obviously my scissors, a coin to measure, and I'll keep that little guy there so you can have a look at him. This is just a little end of this yarn I've got. I need to get some more of this yarn because it's a really lovely colour and it works really well, I think, for the reindeer. So I've started with my slip knot onto the hook. It is an amigurumi based style. We've done this with me before. If not, or you've just done amigurumi anyway, you'll know what you're doing. But it's basically spiral rather than stopping and starting. So we're going to do 2 chain. And into our first chain, we're going to do 6 double crochets. Remembering I am referring to my yarn split there. Let me count it first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 more. What I was about to say is, obviously remembering I am using UK terms, that would be a single crochet in the US. It's usually the stitch that's used for most amigurumi or toy making anyway, so it'll be a stitch you'll recognise even if you do use a different term for it. We are now going to do 2 double crochets into every single one of those 6. The first one's always difficult to get into, I find. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We now have 12 stitches because we've done 2 double crochets into each of the first 6 double crochets. We're going to do another increase, and it's just going to be another one exactly the same as what we've just done. It's going to be 2 into each one of the 12 now, obviously then giving us 24 stitches in total. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, halfway there with number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, oh maybe not 10, I'll go take that one back out again. That was supposed to be number 10, wasn't it? So I did 1 stitch in it. There's the 2nd stitch in it, that's 10, 11, and 12. Quite often it's just easy to take the stitch out rather than trying to catch it. So we now have 24 stitches, and I'm going to place in my stitch marker. Now obviously if you've got a nice quiet environment, you may not need a stitch marker for the rest of it, but because obviously I'm talking and sometimes I know I work if I'm watching TV, it can be a distraction or somebody speaks to you, so stitch marker is quite handy just for that reason. We are now going to do another increase round. I think I moved the tablecloth then, didn't I? And it's going to be 2 stitches in one stitch in the next one, and you're going to repeat that all the way around. a 2, a 1, a 2, a 1 in the stitches until you get back to that stitch marker. Now if you were counting them, there are 12 of these, 12 little sets of a 2 and a 1. When we get the total, then we should end up with 36 stitches. I don't want you to overthink it unless your shape is completely changing. You do get away with the odd stitch either side of that number for what we're making. Obviously if you're doing a cardigan or something like that, or something that has to be an exact size, you can't play with it that much, but just for basic fun bits like this you can do it. Nearly there, so it's just a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 all the way around. Can you see how it's curling a bit, or it's going a bit wibbly wobbly? Don't worry about that, it will flatten out. It always does that. So if yours is doing that, it's okay. It's meant to be doing it. Almost there. One more. Oh, one more set. So 2 in that one and 1 in that one. And that looks like I'm about where the stitch markers should be. We are now going to do just a double crochet round, 1 stitch in every single one of those, hopefully 36 stitches. You can count them now if you want. I'm not going to, because if I start counting I'll not be able to tell you what we're doing next. So I'm just going all the way around, and you'll see that wibbly wobbly effect is going to start flattening out a little bit. It's just because it was quite an extreme increase at that point. If you do a more gentle increase, that doesn't happen. Nearly round. It's been lovely to see some of your work, by the way, particularly where the doll stuff is concerned. I've had a few sort of people send me sort of pictures or tag me in Facebook and things like that, and they're absolutely gorgeous. I mean, some of you have done, I think, a better job than I did. I mean, some of them look really amazing. Oh, the way they've altered it, so different colourways and things like that. It's just so nice to see what people have actually done. Nearly there. There we go. So we're round now. Still a little bit wibbly wobbly, but again it will flatten out, so don't worry about it. So that was our decrease. I keep saying decrease. That was our double crochets, because I'm looking across at my work and I'm seeing the word DC. And even my writing, I'm a terrible writer, so I sometimes even misread my own stuff. Right, we are now going to do an increase of 2 in 1, 1 in 5. That is going to happen 6 times, which should give us 42 stitches. So let's see what happens. We have a 2 in the first stitch. We have 5 just single ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 2 in the next one. 1 and 2. 1 in each of the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 2 in the next one. So you can see the pattern forming, can't you? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 2 in the next one. Let me just pull this yarn a little bit. And 1 in each of the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I think one more. So we have 2 in this one, and then we should have 5, 1 in each one. So that is 3, 4 and 5, and we appear to be round. That is good. That's what we need to see. We are going to have another increase round, very similar to this one. It's going to be 2 in the first one, but then 1 in each of the next 6. So we've just jumped up from the 5 to the 6 of each one. So we have a 2 and then a 6. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, a 2 in the next one, and 1 in each of the next 6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, another 2, so 2 in this one, 2 double crochets in the same stitch, and then 6, 1 in each of these. So we've got that area to do. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we're up to a 2 again, 1 and 2, and 1 in each of the next 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Nearly round. I'm going to have to move that stitch marker, I think, when we finish this round, because it's there. I can line it up, but it's sort of losing its position a little bit. So 2 double crochets and 1 in each of the next 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 1 more to go by the look of that. So we have a 2, and then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a 6. Now can you see how you start to get like flat sides? That's okay, that's good. It shows that you're actually consistent, sort of, because you get like a little point with your actual increasing, so that's a good thing. I am going to move this now though, because if you don't move it regularly, your stitch marker, especially with amigurumi work, or particularly with amigurumi work, you will lose the place, you'll lose your start point. So it is really important. We're going to do the same system again this time, but instead of 6 we're doing 7. So 2 in the first one, 1 in each of the next 7. So it's exactly the same, and you'll still keep this sort of point and flat side thing going off. So we have a 2, and then we have a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. We have a 2. 2 in this one, and then we have a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we'll measure after this one on the coin just to give you an idea. So we have a 2, and then we have a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So you can still see we're keeping these points and flat sides. So you can almost guarantee where you're going to, and the more you do, you'll realise you're getting to this point and you know there's going to be an increase. So you do get ways of doing it yourself after a while. So we have a 2. You can almost get away without counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Another increase. 2 in the single stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. We've got 1 more. So we have a 2 in the next one. And our final 7 stitches for this. This is the last increase round. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, and we are round. That is the last increase round we're going to do. So we should have 54 stitches or thereabouts. As I mentioned, you do get away with the odd stitch, but you do need to keep quite consistent as well. So let's grab this coin. Right, so you can see we've not got far to go. There's only a little bit. This is where you're going to have to check your personal tension though. If you're really tight with your work, you may need an extra row here. If you're really loose, you may need 1 less. So keep using your coin as a base. If it's just going to be a little bag to pop things in rather than to fit a coin, it doesn't really matter, does it? If it comes out a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, just a few less or a few more sweets that go into it. So let's go for this one double crochet. Let me move the coin out of the way a little bit in each one. I'm trying to keep the viewing as clear as possible. I've tried a couple of methods and I think it is a little bit better than it has been on previous videos. But it's a massive learning curve, this YouTube thing. Slowly getting there. There's going to be a couple of videos, I think, this week. I wasn't actually aiming on doing the one that I'm going to be doing next, but some of you will have seen that I've made a scarf, if you follow my Facebook, Instagram, etc. Just a scarf for myself, just some yarn I quite fancied, so I thought, oh, I'll make myself a new scarf. And because of the picture, people going, oh, well, I like the technique, what is it? Is it easy, sort of thing? A couple asked if I would actually do it as a tutorial, so I am going to be doing that one next. Probably will get it done today. So I'm also aiming to do a pair of gloves as well, which I was going to do anyway. I wasn't going to do the scarf, but the scarf's getting thrown in as an extra this week. So hopefully today, could be tomorrow, not sure yet. We'll see how timing goes. I'm trying to get some decorating done at the same time. So it's a bit of crochet, a bit of decorating, a bit of cleaning up, etc, etc. Now this is our first round. Now on my original one there were 3 rounds, so I'm going to go with my 3 rounds, but I do want you to keep checking in case yours is going to be too small for that coin. I think it's worse if it's too small than if it's too big. You can get away with it if it's too big a little bit. Right, so that's round 1. We're on round 2 now. Now you'll see sort of at the top of the page there's already a circle done. I did that because they're exactly the same either side, so there was no point you sort of sitting and watching me make 2 of them. So I've already made 1 in advance just to make it a little bit quicker for yourselves to watch. Now that first one I've also made sure I've sewn in all the ends, which I will show you when we get to that point. And I've fastened everything off on it. You're not going to do that with this one, but I will explain when we get there. I think definitely little cute ones for small coins would be nice. You could hang them on the tree. Make little tiny ones. Antlers are a bit of a pain when you make smaller objects though. It's like with the doll hats. I have made a reindeer hat. And for sort of smart doll size upwards, it's easy. Well, it's not easy, they're fiddly, the antlers, but it's easier, should I say, because they do require a few different components. But when you start to go smaller and smaller, they are so difficult to do, so sort of fiddly. So I don't really like doing them in small scale. Right, so that's our second round. I say I'm not even going to try and measure on there. I'm just going to go for a third one. Can you see how the points have started to disappear now? So it isn't so sort of flat on sides. So how many sides did it have? Was it 6? What we got? I was going to say heptagon, but that's 7, isn't it? Sure somebody will let me know out there. It is really nice to see your comments. I know recently there's been a few more appearing, so please keep going with that. Please sort of obviously like, subscribe and share as well. It does mean a lot and it does help me build the YouTube channel. So I would like to think at some point it is going to be sort of more of a business, so I can offer more and more facilities then. But in the meantime I have to obviously build up subscribers and watch time. Comments also help. Also gives me ideas. Or if you have any suggestions. Now can you see this is curling? Don't worry about that, because it would. If you continued now doing just double crochets, on just every single stitch, it would slowly but surely turn into a little basket. That doesn't matter for what we're wanting. That slight curl is fine. Now I'm nearly round. I am not going to fasten off. I don't want to sort of do a slip stitch, or I don't want to cut the yarn, because we're going to crochet the two together. You can stitch them if you wish. You do not have to do this next stage. I just quite like crocheting items together because it makes them really solid, and also, oh, there we go, I'm going to take the stitch marker out now. It's just easier than messing about with stitching ends in. So I'll take that out. I'm going to grab the other side. Now, as you can see, I've sewn all the bits and pieces in on that, so it's a nice smooth piece. I'm going to put the two inside pieces together. Now, if you want, you can get rid of this. In fact, we will get rid of it because it's one less thing to get in the way while we're trying to crochet things together. You could do it afterwards and just turn it inside out, but I'm going to just thread it through now and it's done. Same with the features. I did actually sew them on after the fact because I wasn't sure where the handle was going to sit. So you can do it before, as long as you know where it's going to all sit. But I wouldn't recommend you put it on and then you change the positioning for the handle or your crocheting, because otherwise you'll be sort of sideways. There we go. So that gets rid of that one. So I am not fastening off. Two insides together. Don't know whether you've done this. Hi, this is take two of this part. I'm not quite sure what happened, but my phone just decided to turn itself off. So I'm hoping the distance is about the same. But basically what we were doing on the previous part was we were just popping those together, weren't we? And I hadn't fastened off the yarn. So I'm going to be popping, if I can hold it, I'll do this side first. So I've just pushed it through as if I'm going to do a stitch, yeah? I'm going to take the other side and I'm going to push through. You see, I've picked up the two parts as if I'm doing a stitch. And from there, we're going to grab the yarn and pull it through all four parts of that, because we're going to be crocheting it together. In fact, it looks like it's closer this time. I don't know what I've done. Right, so we go in, we go in. So you're picking up both parts. You see that? Pull it through. So we pick up one side, we pick up the other side. I'll just hold it like that so you can see. Grab the yarn, pull it through all of them and continue into a double crochet stitch. We're going to do that again. We're going to do that round about 3/4 of the way, because obviously we need to leave a space for the bag. I mean, if it's the coin, you've got to make sure you can fit the coin in, which is a little bit more tricky than the actual, if you were just dropping like individual coins, or you were dropping some chocolates in, or some just general sweets, some jellies perhaps. You don't need to worry about the space so much, but you do need to make sure you can get that chocolate coin in. So again, I'm just going all the way around, picking up both sides. I do find it easier to crochet up when you're doing this rather than stitching in. And you'll see why when I get round I'm doing it as well. There is another reason. But you can hand stitch it if you wish and just add the handle on afterwards. By doing it this way, I don't need to add it on. I can do it as I'm doing it. Hopefully they are lining up. They should line up. If you've got equal stitches on both of your sides, they should line up nicely. I think we're probably about halfway. I'll have a quick check in a second. Can you see how we've got the space? I think it needs to be a bit smaller than that yet though. With my other one I did go quite small. I mean, it does stretch. It is an acrylic yarn that I'm using, so it's got quite a nice stretch to it. Obviously if you were using a cotton, that might be different. Cotton's quite nice because it would make it nice and stiff, but you would then struggle to get the coin in. If you can't pick up two at once, you can pick up the one, find its other side, you've got the two, and pull it through. You can do one, you can do two, pull them through. Or if you're happy with the way they're lining up, just push through both sides. Let's have a look. I think that's about it. because as I say, I have to be able to get the coin in. So I'm not going to fasten off. I'm going to now do our handle. So I'm going to do 36 chain. 1, 2, keep it nice and tight. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, nearly there, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I'll just do 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. No particular reason for doing 36. I just know I did 36 on my other one and the handle length was about right for me. Perhaps if you were hanging them on the wall or something like that, you might want them longer. It is entirely up to you. So there's my handle. So I just need to attach it to the other side, and all I'm going to do is push through one of the stitches, pull it through, and just make it a slip stitch. You can make a double crochet if you want. Slip stitch. Okay, now I can fasten off. So cut my yarn and pull it through. So we have our little bag shape. So there wasn't a lot of sewing up. We've got an end there and we just tidied those 2 ends up before, but it makes it so much easier, because if I'd stitched that, I would have then had an end here, an end here, then I'd have added the handle, then I'd have had another one and another one, and this way I've got a lot less to sew up. We're going to go on to the ears, which is the only other crochet part on him. Couldn't be any easier again. They're not quite circles, they are approximately amigurumi. So we have our slip knot, we have our 2 chain, and we have our 6 into the first chain like we did before. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now we're now going to do a 2 in the first one and 1 in the second one round. That will be 3 times to give us 9 stitches, because we need it a little bit bigger, not a lot bigger. That's why we're just doing that. So we have 2 in 1 in our next one, 2 in this one, 1 in the next one. Last time, 2 in this one and 1 in that one. So I need a little bit more shape to it now. I don't know if you can see how it's sort of a little bit more ovally rather than round. So to create that, all I'm going to do is in my next stitch, I'm going to do 2 half trebles. Now just to remind you, wrap, put into the space, pull through. We should have 3 on the hook. Grab your yarn, pull it through all 3. We're going to do the same again in exactly the same stitch as well. So yarn around the hook in that same stitch, pull it through. We have 3, pull it through all 3. The next stitch is going to be 2 trebles in the same space. So yarn round into the space, pull it through 2, pull it through 2. Again, yarn round into the space, pull it through 2, pull it through 2. In the next one, 2 half trebles. Remember, pulls all 3. And then all I'm going to do is a slip stitch. We're done. It just gives us a slight oval, and you see at this end, so that's his outer part of his ear. So when we stitch that together a bit like that, that is the sort of shape you will get. So I will stitch this one up. I'm not going to do the second ear because I would rather explain a piece of fluff there, what I've done with the features. So we're going to get rid of this. So just threading it round. Keep it in the double crochets because I find that's a bit tighter. And we'll just trim that one off. Now we're left with this one, and this one is the one I'm going to use to pull the ear together and actually stitch it on to our little reindeer. So I'm going to just fold this way. Thread's always already lined up for me. And I'm going to go through twice. So it's done. You've got your shape, instant shape there. Now, you can choose which side you want as the front. I think that sort of curves round, whereas this gives you a ridge. I think, to me, that is the front, the direction that you've been facing at when you've been working all the time. So I'm going to sort of think approximately. I did the ear at each handle. So I'm going to pop it at this side because I've not sewn the other end in. And all I'm going to do is pick a bit of the bag up, a bit of the ear up. Do that again there. It's a bit tougher there because it's folded together, so you have to be careful where you're picking it up. And now, I think that's pretty solid. I might do one more because I want to do a little knot as well. Pull it nice and tight. And I'm actually going to thread it through the bag rather than the ear because the bag is a little bit more solid than the ear. And I'm going to just thread it around the edge. And fasten off. So we have a little ear. Obviously it needs an ear for the other side as well. So we've got one on each side. And if I turn it over, you can see how I've lined it up approximately with the handle side. So I'm going to pop that to one side and we're just going to have a look at how I've structured the rest. Now, to create the antlers, I've used some brown felt, and to get the shape I just sort of like scribbled a little shape out that I would want approximately, and then I drew round that best I could. If you've not got a marker that's going to show up on the brown felt, which was a bit of an issue, you can just pin it to it and try and cut round. Every antler is a different shape. All deers are different, all reindeers are different, so it doesn't have to be the same shape as mine. Just have a little fiddle on a piece of paper on how you would like it. I recommend you keep it quite chunky though, because it's quite hard to draw around. This one's finished, this one isn't, so I wanted to just double check on the stitching for yourself. I've stitched 2 pieces together, so I've cut out 4 pieces of this, and then I've stitched 2 together to make it thicker. If you look at that, that's a lot thicker. It's not going to go anywhere, so when you stitch it on, you only have to stitch it on the bottom part. So I'm going to continue with this one. Now I'm just doing a little overstitch, so the 2 pieces are together. It's like when we're crocheting together, making sure they're lined up. Not sure how much of that you can see because it's really dark. And obviously I'm using a brown cotton as well because I don't really want it to overshow. Sometimes it looks nice actually if you do it a deliberate contrast, but I don't want that. So I'm just making sure they're lined up and just over sewing all the way around. So I'm almost there. I've got to go along the bottom as well. And there we go. I'm not going to fasten that off. I'm just going to push the yarn through to the edge because I'm then going to be sewing it on to our little shape. I've done it just above the ear, as you can see there. Again, personal choice. You can fix yours where you want. So we've already got some thread there, so we can just stitch it on. You can glue it on, whatever preferred glue method you use. I'm not fond of glue, apart from that I always make a mess. I would rather stitch on any day, but it does come down to personal choice. They look just as good if they are glued on. Just be careful with the glue, don't make a mess. So taking it down that side, and I haven't gone along the bottom, have I? So I just need a couple of stitches along the bottom to make sure it's nice and firm. And now I'm going to do a knot. Pulling it nice and tight, and I'm threading it between the 2 layers. That's the beauty when it's 2 layers. You can just thread your thread through and get rid of it that way, and we'll just trim it at the top. So as you can see, it's quite solid because I've done the 2 layers, so it's worth doing that. But again, you can create whatever design you want. That was just an approximate idea of what I wanted the antlers to be. As you can see, I scribbled it out. I did like a Y shape, and then I scribbled round it, and it said a few variants, but that's what I decided. So that is where obviously my other side will be. The beauty of using felt and using both sides, it doesn't matter whether you're doing a left or a right side, so that's quite handy. So I'll pop that there a second. I did a bit of a cheat. I do crochet a lot of my things, but I had these little red pom-poms. Again, oh, I'm flicking the little red pom-pom. Come here. You can either glue into place or you can stitch. I've just got a little bit of red embroidery cotton that I did it with mine, so you can actually stitch it in place. And the final little pieces were his eyes. I chose buttons because I had buttons really, but you can mess about with his positioning. You can make him sort of look quite sort of goofy there. You can have sort of wide cutie ones. I just did midway. I was a bit boring. I didn't make him have a fancy face. So about there, I think works quite nicely. They can be stitched on, they can be glued on, they can be made out of felt. You could just make some little felt circles and stick them on. You could use googly eyes. In fact, I didn't think about that. I have some googly eyes and they would look quite cute. So you could googly eye him. There is so many variations you can do from this basic design. As I say, I designed it because I wanted to fit these huge chocolate coins in. But I think little ones, I'm very tempted to make some little ones to hang on the tree. I think that, in fact, well, if I get time, that would be quite cute. But you could make it big. You can just stuff it with chocolates. You could put little gifts. It could be a little gift bag. It doesn't have to be a chocolate bag. It could be a Satsuma orange. If you've been naughty, it could be a piece of coal. You never know. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you get to make some. Please let me know how you went when you're doing it. Please like, subscribe and share. Obviously all my buttons are in various places around here. If you want information on notifications when I actually put a video out, click on that notification bell as well. But thank you very much for supporting me, and I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you soon with the scarf. Thank you.